Look, right, yeah, I feel the same as you. On this channel, I've done a fantasy booking of CM Punk's return to WWE, CM Punk's debut in AEW, and now CM Punk's return to AEW. The circle is closed, the deep one slumbers for another 100 years. I mean, Christ, Punk even featured in my Year of MJF booking. There's something about Junkie Monkey Punky that just keeps drawing me in. And honestly, I'm trying to work out what it is. Obviously, there's the business side of things. Whack old CM Grump on a thumbnail and Ollie Davis gains a few extra inches in his pocket. I'm talking about his wallet, don't be crude. There's something about Punk that just inflames everyone in the IWC. No one sits on the fence. Either people are desperate for him to return and reignite AEW with his needle-shifting star power, and the other camp believes he should sod off and take his precious ego with him. Everyone seems to agree that after Brawl Out, there's a lot of money to be made with Punk going back to AEW and the rough and tumbles that will ensue. But a lot of people can't agree if it's worth all that money to sow dissension in your locker room. On one hand, everyone, grow up, sit down, and talk like grown-ass adults. On the other hand, it is a bit rich to say that when the most publicly unprofessional out of all of them seems to be suffering no professional consequences for that. Couple all of this with the fact that even after the gripe bomb, hell, perhaps even because of it, I feel pretty confident in saying that CM Punk is the single best promo in wrestling today. Like, he's more naturally charismatic than even MJF. Compare the two men's pipe bombs. They both done pipe bombs against their own company. Punk's was a TV masterclass, and MJF's just seems a bit more stagey and theatrical in comparison. Even when moaning and saying incredibly petty things at a press conference, Punk has a supernatural way with words. I'm old, I'm tired, and I work with children. It's an already iconic line. It's got such good meter. It's so damning. I mean, it's iconic not necessarily for a good reason, but it is. Punk's tirade against his own company and the ensuing fight with Kenny and the Bucks, it galvanized the wrestling world. And at the time of recording this, in April 2023, Punk is all but confirmed to be returning to the company. And yet, also at the time of recording, the company seemed to be handling it in the least exciting way possible. See, starting in June, AEW will reportedly be launching a new show, AEW Collision, to air on Saturdays and be fronted by Charles Montgomery Punk, with the current talk indicating that AEW will be initiating a sort of soft brand split with certain stars, aka The Elite, never leaving Dynamite, and certain stars, aka CM Punk, never leaving Collision. And legitimately, what the fuck are you doing? We want to see the pissy boys have their pissy little piss fight. We don't just want to see CM Punk. We want to see the messy little drama and chant our messy little chants and revel in the rare lightning in a bottle turbocharged meta reality smeared all over this wrestling by CM Punk, who built a career on doing this exact thing. These rosters are going to have to be in the same building for pay-per-views, aren't they? Are you just going to keep the Elite and CM Punk on different sides of the arenas forever? Can no one talk to each other and put their differences aside for a gigantic cash bonus? I feel like an old man. Social media has ruined wrestling in lots of ways, but namely legions of fans rushing to socials to amplify every single bitchy tweet into a huge deal. It's the worst. And we're not exact strangers to that. Over here, we make money off backstage drama, so, everyone ramps it up and up and up to the point where wrestlers' egos are so jacked up by their own tribes that they can't back down. And Tony can't seem to keep order, and it's such a disappointing powder keg. I don't know, I'm not owed matches between people who hate each other. I'm just not owed that. Without knowing all the details, we can't dictate when and how people choose to forgive or move on. Picking such a strong side in all of this, it doesn't help. It makes things worse. It makes people dig their heels even deeper into the sand. Does my desire to see superheated wrestling trump the emotional and mental state of people in a situation I'm not fully aware of? No, absolutely not. From my limited perspective, does this seem like a solvable situation with tremendous upsides? Yes, that's all I can say, apart from sharing with you all the things I would like to see in a perfect world. It's wish fulfillment time. Let me have a go. So we start with Double or Nothing 2023 and the building blocks being set in place. Now here is what I would like to see. FTR versus The Acclaimed. Finally get this match and use it to turn FTR heel, including a spot where they hit Caster and Bowens with double GTSs. They cheat to win, screwing The Acclaimed out of their shot. Evil FTR! Yay! The correct FTR. To be honest, face FTR are also very good, but this way makes way more sense for the story that I'm about to tell. The Fatal 4 Pillars way in the demi-main event, a miscommunication happens between Darby Allin and Sting. The Stinger accidentally missed Darby. MJF hits him with the diamond ring, retains his belt. The main event is an Anarchy in the Arena match. Blackpool Combat Club versus The Elite, Kenny Omega and the Bucks, and Konosuke Takeshita. Adam Page isn't involved in this match. He was asked by the Elite, but he's still not ready to team up again after everything. A bunch of silly mayhem happens in the match. Takeshita jumps off a bunch of ridiculous things. The Elite fire, I don't know, Bryan Danielson out of a trebuchet. Jon Moxley goes full Begbie from Train Spotting, throwing pint glasses full of piss over his shoulder from the press box. The end of the match sees Kenny Omega preparing to do his Terminator dive when Cult of Personality hits and CM Punk walks out onto the ramp. That is distraction enough for Danielson to lock in the LeBell Lock with a screwdriver across Kenny's face for the tap-out win. Punk simply smirks and walks to the back, and Punk doesn't come back for another month. The Bucks and Kenny finish up their feud with Blackpool Combat Club, and the company pivots in booking to the return of Forbidden Door. Omega and Ospreay rekindle their feud. Jon Moxley lays out an open challenge. A triple tag match for the Trios Championships is set. House of Black versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, Yoshihashi, and Goto versus FTR and a partner of their choice to be revealed on the Go Home Dynamite on June 21st, which happens to emanate from Chicago. And of course, that person is CM Punk, who takes up the mic, looks like he's gonna speak, milks the crowd for ages before saying nothing, putting down the mic, and leaving without saying a word. Forbidden Door 2 Electric Boogaloo, and a rundown of this fantasy card. House of Black versus Punk FTR versus Tanahashi, Yoshihashi, and Goto, with Punk and FTR winning the Trios Championships. Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega, with Ospreay winning the IWGP US Championship. MJF successfully defending the AEW Championship against Kazuchika Okada. Give it to me, I'm ready for it. Jon Moxley's open challenge being answered by a debuting Kota Ibushi. Hangman Adam Page competing for but failing to win the IWGP Heavyweight Championship from Tanada. Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. to determine who is going to win the Bryan Danielson Award for Best Bryan Danielson of the Year. It's a good show, all seems quiet, no backstage drama for now. So the next stretch of AEW booking is building to two major shows. All In at Wembley Stadium, oi oi, and All Out 2 weeks later, presumably followed by All Shake It All About 2 weeks after that. The Elite and Punk FTR are booked in a match for the Trios titles, the same titles the Elite were forced to vacate owing to the fight that took place following All Out the year before. The two teams come face to face in the ring, but are interrupted by Don Callis. Callis stands in the middle of the Elite, Punk and FTR, talks about how this company was founded on a bet. That's why they called it All In. Now here, Tony Khan thinks there's money to be made here. We're playing our first stadium, boys, so Khan's rolling the dice. But it's a big gamble, and this is a volatile situation. So here's the deal. You get your promo time separately. You can talk, and then you can talk. But that's it. There'll be no violence. Not until All In. If there's any physicality between any of you before then, the match is off, and each of you will eat a $250,000 fine to pay back the gate that you're throwing away. So it's all about delaying that gratification. Punk hasn't said a word since coming back. Not one word into the microphone. The Elite get to speak first. Young Bucks cutting a promo. Next week, FTR cut their promo. Then the next week after that, Kenny speaks. And then finally, CM Punk. They're all saying things we already know, but filling in some of the blanks as to what happened on that fateful night. Punk's promo is obviously the most incendiary. At the end of the day, I tried making friends, I tried making memories, and now I'm just gonna make money. people who built this company. The Elite and Punk FTR come close to each other, nose to nose, but Don Callis comes out to plead the Elite to stand down. They do, but before they do, Punk clocks Callis in the head with his title, his trios title, before him and FTR roll out of the ring. Bit of heat before the stadium show. All In happens, and here's a small bit of my imaginary card to try and draw a stadium-sized crowd. Sting versus Darby Allin, a friendly competition between Mentor and Manatee, which Sting wins, and Darby is clearly very, very, very angry about that. Bryan Danielson versus Kota Ibushi, because yes, please. Pac versus Will Ospreay for the IWGP US Championship. Jamie Hayter versus Paige for the AEW Women's Championship. MJF versus Hangman Adam Page in an Intercontinental AEW Championship Challenge, which is based on Champions League's rules, because football, because England, oi oi. MJF and Page have 2 matches. 2 30-minute Iron Man matches. One at All In, one at All Out. Whoever gets the most total points after the second match wins the championship. This is so Page can go something like 2-1 up on the first night. Big happy achievement moment for Hangman in the stadium, because people are going to love Hangman over here. Trust me, they really, really are. But then he can lose 3-2 at All Out. The main event of All In, of course, is Punk FTR versus Kenny Omega and Young Bucks, because give the people what they want. Then take away what they want by having Punk and FTR cheat to win, bashing Kenny and Bucks with the belts. This builds to All Out. Shortly afterwards, with the following matches: Sting versus Darby Allin 2, with Darby turning heel beforehand and then beating Sting to see Sting broken-hearted, walking away from the company for a few months, because that's what Sting does when a promotion breaks his heart. FTR versus the Young Bucks, the third match, a 2 out of 3 falls match for the AEW tag titles, which the Young Bucks win. CM Punk versus Kenny Omega, one-on-one. Kenny Omega wins that. And the main event is the second match in the series, MJF versus Hangman Page, which ends when CM Punk helps MJF to beat Page. Now, this is where my booking sort of ties in with my year of MJF booking. Punk allies with MJF, telling him, "I'm so proud of you, of everyone in the company, of all these people. Ironically, it's you that wanted to learn from me. It's you that brought out the best in me. It's you that was the only goddamn professional in this whole promotion. Fuck Tony Khan." Punk vows to help MJF keep the AEW Championship until MJF's contract expires, just like Punk did in WWE. They form a supergroup, CM Punk, FTR, MJF, the CM Pinnacle. An Avengers assemble of purely grumpy sods of professional wrestling. All that's left is them to be managed by Jim Cornette, and you have the perfect nexus of irascible wrestling. They won't be managed by Jim though, please. Please don't put him on live TV. For the next few months, that is the group's mission. Punk and FTR hold on to the trios titles, and MJF holds on to the AEW title. Everyone's got a belt. Tony Khan keeps throwing challenge after challenge at the group, and they always use the numbers game to win, and it's getting really, really stressful for the company. I've already gone into this in some form in my MJF booking video, so I won't recap that too much. Point is, Kenny Omega approaches Kota Ibushi. He asks him to join the Elite and help them against this numbers game, but Kota refuses. Kota and Kenny have barely featured together on AEW so far. Kenny asks, "Why not?" And Kota simply replies, "You left." The Elite find themselves constantly outnumbered, and that is when Hangman Adam Page finally reunites with the Elite. This threat binds them all together like none other in company history. This poison at the heart of AEW needs to be cut out. The go-home show before Full Gear is a promo battle between Punk and Page, a rekindling of the promo that bizarrely started this whole thing last year on the 25th of May. Now, we're at Full Gear and a blood and guts match. MJF, Punk, and FTR versus the Elite and Hangman Adam Page. During the match, FTR cut the ropes in between the two rings, creates more of a fight pit, but also it neutralizes Page's buckshot lariat. At the end of the match, sees Omega hit MJF with the one-winged angel, the Bucks hit FDR with brain busters, and then as CM Punk slowly gets to his feet, the Bucks swing Adam Page around with a kind of double arm drag to simulate him flipping over the ropes, and he nails Punk with a buckshot lariat. Hangman Page locks Punk in the Anaconda Vice, Punk flips him off, and then passes out as the Elite win. Now, this whole storyline is culminating at the end of the year because it's MJF's whole contract business. His contract runs out on the 1st of January. Sting versus Darby Allin, with Sting's career on the line. His AEW career began at Winter is Coming. Now it's going to end here at the hand of his once former protege. And also, it's the last chance to get the belt off MJF. And considering everything that's come up until this point, the main event should be MJF versus Kenny Omega. 3 years after Kenny won his first and only AEW championship, he is now Mr. AEW, the company's last chance to stop Punk and MJF screwing the company over with its top title. It's the end of the match, the ref goes down, Punk and FTR make their impact, but instead of Bucks making the save, it's Kota Ibushi. Him and Kenny hit golden trigger on MJF. Omega plants MJF with the one-winged angel and becomes the new AEW champion. Him and Kota Ibushi celebrate, for Ibushi knocks out Kenny with the biggest slap to the face that anyone's ever seen. MJF re-signs with AEW out of humiliation, and he turns on CM Punk. Why? Because, says MJF, because, you stupid old man, I'm a snake. Final chapter is Revolution, which is sold on the dual main event, all about allies imploding. Punk versus MJF in a loser leaves Dynamite match. MJF beats Punk, and he's banished to Collision. Kota Ibushi versus Kenny Omega as the Golden Lovers try to destroy each other. Ibushi beats Kenny to become the new AEW champion. And from that point on, you can do your brand split, separate everyone involved in Brawl out after making pretty much all the money that can be made from pairing these people against each other. And that is how I would book CM Punk's AEW return. Won't happen in a million years, but sod it. It's nice to imagine that wrestlers might get on long enough to do something like it. Oh, hello, look, here I am in a different place. That's because I'm talking to you from the set of the next How Adam Would Book, which you can watch right now on our Patreon, patreon.com/WrestleTalk. And if you've enjoyed this How Adam Would Book, then after you finish watching it, go over there and watch the next one, which is all about Cody Rhodes finishing the story.